Welcome. This is workshop number 4, entitled Manifesting Your Thoughts, and I am again Yvonne Stein, and we'll get into a new kind of balance. We've talked a little bit about subconscious and conscious mind and breaking down the barrier between them in the last workshop. Now we're going to talk about harmonizing the subconscious, conscious, and superconscious minds. Okay, a higher level of balance. Again, for manifesting your thoughts, you want to manifest the future, then you have to open the door to your superconscious mind to help, because that'll help elevate your conscious thinking and as well as your manifestation abilities. So the subconscious, we talked about that. That's where your pain, trauma, memory, instincts, experiences, your true attentions, basically past programming. The conscious mind is your reason, decision-making, choices, rational thinking, and that's where your wisdom can come from. When you analyze something from your subconscious mind, you gain wisdom, if you are able to understand it. And the superconscious mind is your higher self, higher level of wisdom, infinity of life, energy, and connecting with the divine. So, the creation of the conscious sandwich. All right, so we already talked about breaking down the wall between your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. In other words, taking a look at what's going on in your subconscious mind and using the exercises to heal and grow from it so that you're not afraid or trying to block things coming into your mind from your subconscious. And again, we talked about when you do the forgiveness exercise and you really understand what you're doing and really forgiving, then those things coming in from your subconscious mind eventually just go away. And that's tearing down the wall. And so that there is no difference between your subconscious and conscious. So what you want to do is also do the same thing with your superconscious mind and what I call the conscious sandwich. The superconscious is, you can achieve that through many different ways. Obviously, meditation, finding peace. If you keep growing along this path, your superconscious mind will become more open to you, because that's where the superconscious mind operates, in the divine, in total release, allows you to access it more easily. And the superconscious mind is, again, not just your ability, helps your ability to manifest, but it also is your connection to intuition, higher level of spirituality, or what they call, some people call it a Akashic record, or just a higher level of understanding of your path, all of those things. So, obviously, if you have all of these consciousness thinking the same kinds of thoughts and harmonized, another form of balance. And obviously helps you manifest. Okay, comfort zones, we talked about that a little bit before. Downtimes during your spiritual evolution to regain strength and assimilate. And I can imagine that by now you're seeing the importance of those downtimes. Because this is a big nut. This is a lot of exercise and a lot of understanding, a lot of growth, and sometimes the challenges, you'll need a break from them. Okay, infinite paths to growth. Only you can make the choice. We talk about the choice. There's infinite ways to get to the same place. This is only one way. And this not only, this is based on probably every foundation in spirituality there is. This is how I've formulated it, so it's easier to maybe grasp and ground, like I said, ground in the physical plane. That's one of the things that I have been given as abilities to do. Let's talk about paths to growth. Obviously, we have the steep path, which I would say that I took the steep path. I quit work. I meditated for 10 hours a day because I was dedicated to doing this. Right? I could do that because I didn't have responsibility of other people, and I was in a relationship. So yeah, I had the choice to do that. A steep path, and I relate this to rock climbing because I was a rock climber at times. And by the way, I took up rock climbing to help heal my fear of heights. Okay, I said, hey, this is a safe way. I'm on a rope. So it worked. I was able to do things that I never thought I could do. So that was good. Maybe I haven't healed it completely, but it did help. So rock climbing, and if you're not familiar with rock climbing, obviously whether you have a rope or not, you got a cliff or a face of a wall in front of you, and there are infinite ways you can grab onto that wall and climb. And it's strictly based on what you're comfortable with. Okay, some people, if they are not real good rock climbers, they'll take the easy path and grab onto things that are really secure and not just look secure, where a confident climber might take a different path. All right, the interesting thing is that if you take the steep path or the more difficult path, you have a greater sense of accomplishment. Okay, the same applies to all of this. All right, if you choose to make quantum leaps, you will find that the accomplishment and the manifestation will be equal. I mean, equal in the sense that you will have a sense of accomplishment and you'll make greater leaps and bounds if you choose to do that. So there are a lot of people who have had this information who don't practice at all. There's some that practice a little bit of it. So you have the opportunity to practice multiple facets of it and do all at the same time if you're capable and have the time, opportunity, as well as the desire. Universal tests, like I said, we're constantly tested at higher levels until the fear is released. Okay? And that may be control dramas. I know I was tested at some pretty high ones. We talked about the Jesus and other people who have been killed because they had no fear of death, but there were control factors in the world that wanted them out of the picture. Okay? That's all it is. Okay? But there are levels that you may have to go through. And the most common one that affects a lot of people is the concept of money. All right, so, I mean, how many people would be afraid of losing $10? I mean, not very many people, right? Okay, then you can say, okay, well, what happens if it reaches $1,000? What happens if it reaches $100,000? Okay, there are different levels of fear for everybody. And whether you have to be tested on them or not is strictly your destiny, your karma, and where you're starting from. So, to release your fear of money, the true release of money would have to be that you have no fear of not having money at all. Okay, the question is, do you have to be tested on that? I can't answer that question, but I know the answer for most people. I was put there. I manifested that test. And it was difficult. I didn't have responsibilities other than myself, so it was probably easier for somebody like me to go through it than somebody who has a family and children and so forth. So it's not that you're supposed to go through every test in this life, okay, or in this situation that you're in currently. So that's just something to be aware of. So you're tested on things like isolation. Can you stay alone for a period of time? Okay, this is really a test of positive and negative polarity. I mean, if you're over here negative, you can't be alone for very long, or you're going to feel uncomfortable. Okay, so I've been tested on isolation. Had to be by myself for periods of time and learn what to do and how it feels and how to cope with life in those situations. And that's a very healthy one, by the way. Destiny and the choice. Okay, the ultimate paradox. Okay, a lot of people have a problem with the concept of destiny and the choice. If you have a choice, then how can it be destined? That's obviously the biggest question that people have about destiny. So if I choose, and I've heard this concept of, if I choose to sit on the sofa all day and not go to work, then that's my destiny? Absolutely. If you're making that choice, you're obviously not making it out of wisdom. But you're still making a choice. But it's exactly the choice you're supposed to. And I've proven that to myself because I've had enough psychic readings in my life to see that everything that's happened has happened exactly the way I was told. And it was completely different than what I was trying to do. In other words, I was told that things were going to happen. So again, following my synchronicity and following my intuition, I said, oh, that must be it. Okay? And so I would, go down that road and I'd say, this must be it. This is exactly what I was told. Never happened the way I thought it. It always came out of left field and it was exactly what I was told, but it was never the one that was the way I thought I was supposed to be going. So that was interesting. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, it's a good lesson for psychic readings. That it helped me release anxiety and anticipation. Okay? Expectation and anticipation. I was having that from the psychic reading information. I was saying, oh, I'm expecting this to happen. All right? I'm anticipating this is going to happen. And so I was manifesting things similar to that, but not the exact one. It took time to overcome those emotional attachments to the information. Knowing the future is a challenge. It's a responsibility. And so that's one of the things that you can learn about the choice and destiny. Okay, belief in destiny of life versus death. We all know how many people believe that when it's your time to die, it was your time. It's destiny. Well, but how many people really believe in destiny of life? And the fact is, in order to die in that certain circumstances, you had to do a lot of things to put you in that certain circumstance. Virtually everything in your life had to be exactly the way it was, otherwise you probably wouldn't have been there. So that's still a little paradox for people. And they like to say, oh, I believe in the destiny of death, but I don't believe in destiny of life. I'm like, well, that's a contradiction, because they are the same. There's millions and millions of choices that we make in our lives that put us exactly where we are when we die. And any one of those choices would have put us somewhere completely different. Doesn't matter if it was a change of job, change of relationship, a fender bender at one point in your life which altered your path. It could be anything that could put you in a different place at a different time. Personal, global, planetary destiny, product of our consciousness. Yeah. Okay, so your destiny, again, this is where you can make the choice to participate in your destiny. Okay? If you choose to do nothing and stay in the neutral zone, that's your destiny. But right now, everybody has a choice to do this. And if you make that choice, that was your destiny. So you're driving the car. And the universe already knows what choice you're going to make. The only thing you haven't done is maybe made the choice yet. But you still, it's free will. You have the choice. There's no such thing as a wrong choice in destiny. It's a paradox, right? It's confusing. Human has been seeking the answer to existence since the beginning of time, but have we? Okay? One of the things I've learned is that when you become a seeker, the information eventually will come to you. So if people have been seeking the meaning to life and the answers to existence, then why haven't they received them? Okay? And the universe responds in kind. If you're seeking, the universe responds, gives you the information. Eventually, in some way, maybe it's been misinterpreted, maybe it hasn't been understood for most people. I get it. So I think, obviously not very many people really could have been seeking it. Maybe thought they were seeking it. Okay, destiny of humanity. We got personal destiny, global destiny, planetary destiny. Again, your personal destiny, and everybody, if you believe in destiny, everybody's doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, which means a company grows because it was supposed to grow, a government grows because it was supposed to grow, a war occurs because it was supposed to happen, and there's nothing anybody was supposed to do to stop it or change it. And that leads into things like prophecy, obviously, and your psychic reading about your own path, and understanding it and believing it and being able to act upon it. Okay, it also can help you move in this direction. I mean, I heard things that I was going to do 15 years ago. And I tried to make them happen. I'm like, yeah, I can, this must be it. And I tried, but it always happened. So it helps you, again, release. You let go. You say, okay, all I have to do is act in the moment. All I have to do is work on doing a better job at this, and let destiny unfold. I don't have to know what it is. But it gave me confidence, more confidence to do this. Okay, so destiny and psychic readings can be useful. if you have information about the future. And it can also be challenging because it takes some time to get over the anticipation and the expectation. But it's a good lesson to have. So the destiny of humanity on the planet, we look to religion. That was kind of how we started our seeking of our meaning of existence. And, some religions might say that they have provided that meaning through their religion. But for most people, that did not answer the meaning of their existence. Then we turned to science. And we went through a long period where we turned to science to answer the questions about the universe, about human energy and everything else. And they really didn't provide us with an answer that worked. And then we turned to material gratification or, self-fulfillment. And I think most people could recognize that material possession and money hasn't given anybody a true meaning of their existence. And so that's why we're going through what I would call the spiritual conscious evolution that we are seeing in the world today. Why you people are here, why I'm doing this. This is the next and hopefully meaningful step for people, because ultimately by going through this process I found the meaning of existence and the meaning of my life and my purpose on the planet. So if I can do it, then other people can do it. And so as much as the other ones did not ultimately give people a sense of satisfaction or fulfillment, this does. Subconscious versus conscious seeking. Taking advantage, seizing the moment. We talked about this already. Before today, for most people this was happening subconsciously. Right? You were making choices, didn't know it. You were polarizing, didn't know it. So now we're bringing it into the consciousness, and you have the opportunity to seize the moment and take advantage of that. To accelerate your positive polarity, to manifest more positive, and it's an individual choice. Making a conscious choice to change, grow once you know the importance, our purpose. Again, once you know the importance of this, I can't imagine why people wouldn't make a choice to do it. Okay, growth on the astral self, higher consciousness, and desire to learn on the physical plane. We talked about this already, where growth in the astral doesn't have pain, and so the growth isn't as accelerated. The pain helps us accelerate the growth. Without pain, it's like, without somebody depleting the forest, why would we try to save them? If we didn't have somebody killing whales, why would we try to save them? The incentive on the physical plane is much greater than, of course, incentive in the astral plane. You still want to grow up there, it's just that the catalyst for growth is less extreme. So destiny is the key to healing over past trauma and releasing of emotions. Well, guess what? If everything is destined, then everything that happened to you is destined, good and bad. Again, even though you have 50-50 rule for manifestation, if you see the divinity and you see the purpose for that experience, it's easy to forgive it and let it go. Okay, so belief in destiny is key. So to blame somebody is only to have less understanding and wisdom. Okay. Prior acceptance of path and experience, we talked about that. Before we come down here, obviously we are given a choice. It's a concept of free will. We always have this choice to say, no, I don't want to do that. If we accepted the path and we accepted the karma that we're going to heal and we understand eternal growth, then you can't blame anybody else for the experiences you've had. There's no reason to hold any harboring thoughts about anything that somebody's done to you. No state of growth which implies perfection, that's obvious. We know that growth is eternal, life is eternal, existence is eternal. So there's just higher levels than what we know today, and when we get there, we'll know there's higher levels than that. And there's always room for growth. At every moment in time, we experience exactly what we need to experience in order to help us grow and learn. We talked about that too. Our ability to understand our experiences determines whether they repeat. Okay? I know some of you probably have experiences that you don't want to repeat, so the opportunity exists to learn from those and grow. Everyone is equally important and here for the same purpose. Remember, the gardener, doesn't matter, the ditch digger, the president, We're all equal. We're all important. We're all here for the same reason, and that is to grow. So it's important to recognize that everybody's path is divine, and everybody's path is perfect, and everybody's path should be honored. Doesn't matter whether they achieve importance in life and on the media level. Okay, no right or wrong judgment, only different levels of understanding. Okay, if everything's destiny, then there is no right or wrong, right? So it's only a matter of understanding whether you're going to judge something or not. No promises, no regrets. Well, there you go. I mean, you can take action, you can make choices, but you can't promise the outcome. So, promises and regrets, if you regret something, then you feel you did something wrong. You don't understand destiny. And if you make promises, then people don't understand that that's not necessary. A lot of people want promises. Whether you give them is up to you. But, I mean, you can say, I plan on being there. The universe is going to decide whether you're actually going to be there and how you manifest. Maybe you didn't manifest the time to be there when you thought you had. Okay, so there's a lot of reasons why a promise doesn't work out. And people get disappointed when you make promises and they don't work out. Well, then again, if they get disappointed, they're lacking understanding. Okay, this is very much a cyclical process here. You set yourself up and other people will judge you based on that. Belief in destiny is key to self-healing. We already talked about that. Okay, experiencing your thoughts manifesting self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, manifestation is a self-fulfilling prophecy because it's based on what you do. The actions you take, the thoughts you have. You are what you think and become what you're exposed to. We've talked about that. Importance of reprogramming, exposure to people, objects, events, and media. Now, we've talked about some of this, right? You have a choice of whether you want to be exposed to something. You have a choice of whether you want to watch the news. I mean, there's certain ways you can get news that are not so traumatic. I mean, now that we live in this age, the Internet's one way. I mean, you're not getting it bombarded verbally, but you can read the headlines and decide if you want to read the article. It's still news. It depends on how it's presented. So, and again, you got exposure to people. We've talked about that. You got, people who are very negative or not supportive, and they want you to do something. You have the right to say, no, I don't feel like doing it. Okay, why don't we do it that way? Because we're afraid of being judged. Usually, somebody's going to say, "Oh, well, you're not really my friend." Okay, well, a true friend is supportive. And so maybe you have to make choices. Okay, objects included. I mean, there are physical objects in the world and all over the world that some of which have a positive energy and some of which have a negative energy. Well, if you're going to a temple and you're looking at the sacrificial stone where they, beheaded people, well, maybe you could choose you don't want to do that. It's not something I want to see. Or there are positive temples where they didn't do that kind of stuff. So those are things that you can make a choice on that will affect your manifestation abilities. All right, step 1 in manifestation. Accept that anything and everything is possible. Okay, now that in itself is a challenge. I mean, I know a lot of people that would not accept that because they got self-limiting thought and they've had self-limiting thought programmed into them by society and other people. So anything and everything is possible is not something they can handle. Okay, the second step is you must be able to think it. Okay, first you accept that anything and everything is possible. Then if you can think about something, it has a greater probability of manifestation. And that is, the blocks for that are your subconscious mind and your pre-programming. Again, limiting thoughts, limiting actions, limiting beliefs. Okay, step 3, you must believe that you can achieve and manifest what you think. Okay, belief. That comes from your conscious mind and the programming, not pre-programming, but the programming that you're actually doing today. So, belief. Now, how do you get belief? I can't give you belief, just like I can't give you wisdom. Okay? Belief comes from understanding. Okay? If you understand that anything and everything is possible, and you can think it, and you see that a path works for you then you can gain the belief that it can actually happen. All right, the fourth step is you must have faith that it will occur. All right, the blocks are the superconscious mind, where your higher level spiritual functions come from. So faith is mostly, in this case, patience. Okay, expectation and anticipation, gone. They're not going to help. So if you have learned that this path works, then you can have the patience to let it happen. Because if you don't have the patience, you're going to block it. Because you're either going to have fear or anxiety or something about that belief system. So you have to prove it to yourself, and then you really have faith in it. Okay, manifestation is blocked when there is a breakdown in any one of these steps. Well, we already know that some people can't believe that anything and everything is possible. Some people can't think it. A lot of people can't believe it'll happen, and more people don't have the faith and the patience to let it happen. So this is why people don't achieve the manifestations they're looking for. Visualization of ideal life, partner, career, home example. Again, part of manifestation is being able to think it, which is visualization. You can do an exercise. You can say, I would desire or love to live in the mountains in a cabin, or I'd love to live on the beach in a tent. I mean, the ideal life is individual for everybody. And I will tell you this, that as you define or visualize your ideal life through the spiritual growth process, you will modify that. Because what's ideal for you today may not be ideal to you when you are at a higher level of release. So some people want a mansion with 5 cars. Who knows? But that's not negative. It's just a different level of understanding and what they want in life. Thinking is something which is less than ideal is self-limiting. So if you can visualize your ideal life and maintain that focus, that's more important than thinking of something less than that. You will only achieve that which you believe you can achieve. Focus on end result, not the details. Create a plan to keep it dynamic at all times. Okay. The most important thing, again, is release means focus on the end result. And let this path determine how you get there. And I've made the mistake, so I know what can happen. Okay? You have an end result, and you see synchronicity, you feel you got some intuition going, and you're manifesting, and all of a sudden you get bold and you take a step that wasn't really as positive as you thought. Okay? So the universe trips you up. It's deliberate. You got to learn some way. So you're going to have to learn how it works and do it yourself. It's all about that. You can experience whatever you desire as long as your desires are balanced and polarized with understanding and belief. We talked about this earlier. If you have a expectation or you throw out something that you can think, but you don't really believe it can happen, then obviously you don't expect to manifest it. A belief in your own abilities is what helps you achieve that ability. So if you think you can climb Mount Everest, and you believe that, and you go and do it, you have a chance of actually doing it. And if you have self-doubt, well, you have a more high probability of not making it to the top. Same thing. Are your desires balanced with your state of consciousness? That's what I talk about. Like I said, just like your ideal lifestyle and what you're visualizing will change, that's going to change based on your state of consciousness. As you're thinking today may not be as you think tomorrow, so your ideal situation will change and evolve with you. We all manifest the experiences that reflect our present state of polarity, growth, and healing and balance. All experiences are provided in order to give us the opportunity to make the choices that can increase our growth, healing, and balance. Okay? So, just as you're manifesting more positive experiences, you're also manifesting more opportunities for growth. So it doesn't matter whether you move this way, or how fast you go. All of the manifestations that you achieve are there to help you grow even further. Okay? And they come with benefits. Obviously, if you can do it on one side or the other and stay polarized, they come with greater benefits than if you're, going back and forth through here, and you're still manifesting. You're manifesting on every path, even in the middle, in the chaos. It's not necessarily fun in that zone. Manifestation. More than just thinking and affirming that which you desire, you must also clear the blockages. We've talked about this before. Heal and balance yourself to a level by which you can attract such experiences. In order to manifest more positive, you must heal, grow, and past your need to manifest the lessons, mistakes, and painful experiences. In other words, if you want to grow positive, obviously you're going to manifest the lessons in between there, and you want to keep learning from those lessons to continue to grow positive. Some of these can only be provided through negative experiences. We've talked about that pain and control are the stimulus that we've chosen to move positive for because of the pain of our experiences and the control and the other factors that we see in life. Random thoughts versus long-term patterns. Okay. A single thought action impacts manifestation. Absolutely. I talked about this a little bit earlier, where even though I'm over here maybe somewhere, I still have random thoughts on this side for issues that I haven't completely healed and old patterns. But random thoughts and actions do not have as much as an impact as obviously the full force of where you are consciously. So, it's the 90-10 rule. If 90% of you is over here and 10% is over here, well, then 90% of your manifestations are going to be more positive. Okay, it's that simple. So having a random thought doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to manifest something terrible. If you're over here 90% of the time, that 10% may not mean anything. Okay, it may keep you from achieving the hugely positive manifestations, but it's not necessarily going to make you manifest something negative. Okay, so there's a fear factor there, and I've seen it with people before. I may say something through observation. Like I see a lot of things in the world, and I see a lot of things in people that I don't put any weight on. I don't put any emotion on it. It's just what I see. It's just an observation. And some people take that as, oh my God, I can't even think that because I don't want that person to manifest it, or I don't want to manifest it. I'm like, okay, that's fear. If you don't have fear, you have understanding, then it's not impacting anything except an observation. It's just a statement. Okay, the more emotion you put behind it, the more chance it is to manifest. Manifestation, perceived versus reality. Perceived is that your future experiences will only become more positive. Okay, that'd be the ideal world, wouldn't it? That you make this choice and then all of a sudden you're over here. Well, unfortunately, the universe has other plans for you. In order to stay over here, you're going to have to be tested with some experiences which may not be positive. Okay, and so, some people think that, I'm going to just start practicing this, and then life's going to be perfect. Again, you're moving out of, whether you're close to this or in this zone, you're moving away from it, and as a result, you're going to have to deal with what you are doing today in manifestation. And the tests, obviously, are different levels of growth. Demanifestation can only occur naturally through positive actions or for positive results. In other words, if you are looking to demanifest something, all you have to do is work on manifestation. You don't have to work on the demanifestation. If you're manifesting positive, things are going to demanifest naturally. And if you try to force them out of your life, control, they will stay there until you learn how to do it. And I've experienced this. I've had people go through these workshops and they said, I really didn't like this person, and so I wouldn't return their calls, and I didn't want to talk to them anymore. I didn't want to see them anymore. So I tried to demanifest them by thinking that I never wanted to see them again. All right, then they call me up and I say, well, that's not going to work. And they didn't believe me. So one day I get a call and this person says, you won't believe this. He says, I was, in my house, and all of a sudden I get a knock at the door, and it's this person that I've been trying to demanifest. Now the person didn't even know why they were there. They drove into the driveway, didn't even realize they'd driven into their driveway, came up to the door and knocked on it. All right? Equal and opposite forces. She was trying to push this person away. Ultimately, the person was pulled towards them. Okay? It's interesting, but just a fun little anecdote. So positive results. In other words, if somebody is doing a poor me on the telephone, and you're thinking, you know what, this doesn't work for me anymore. I I don't like having these conversations. They're not healthy. They don't feel good. I want to stay over here, and they're making me pulling me this way because it's a control drama. Okay, so you're not saying anything. You're not responding. You're breaking the control drama. All right? But you have to deal with it. You can't just not take the phone calls. If somebody calls you and they leave you a message and you've been friends with them for a long time, you can't just cut the umbilical and say, okay, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. That's disrespectful. That's not positive demanifestation. Okay, positive demanifestation is dealing with the situation, talking to the person, breaking the control drama, and letting that person decide if they want to go away. That's positive demanifestation. Okay, and if you don't do it that way, you will continue to attract them or something similar situation until you get it down. So you have to honor and respect the situation. That's positive. Disrespecting somebody is going to just cause you to have to do it over again. Notable quotes. Vengeance is mine, an eye for an eye. Okay. Vengeance is mine. I mean, my interpretation of that is that cause and effect. Okay, it's not to do, if somebody does something to you, you don't have to do anything to them or even wish anything to be done to them because they're attracting it upon themselves. Vengeance is mine only means that the universe takes care of it. The universal law. What you put out comes back to you. Okay? An eye for an eye, same thing. What you put out comes back to you. This doesn't mean that we're supposed to take action and cause somebody pain because they caused you pain. And I see this time and time again. Where people think that because somebody did something to them, they have to do it back, and ultimately what they're doing is, what they're doing? They're manifesting the whole time. Okay. Centering. Being centered harnesses your energy for greatest focused application. Okay. Keeps you from entering the neutral zone and making poor choices. We already talked about that. When you're not centered, you have a 90% probability that you're going to make the wrong choice if you make a choice when you're not centered. And that doesn't mean anything's right or wrong. That just means it's not necessarily in your most positive manifestation plan. There's nothing that's right or wrong. Everything's perfect. What happens when you're not centered? At any time you're out of center, you're more likely to make poor choices. We've talked about physical accidents and negative manifestations. Centering is basically a form of release. Releasing the hold experiences have on our consciousness and energy. The key to centering is awareness and understanding of your experiences. Because if you have an understanding of your experiences, then you're not being pulled into emotional state, you're not being pulled into anxiety or anything else. And so it's much easier to stay centered. People that try to stay centered and don't understand this concept, it's very difficult. Because their fears are going to pull them out of center. Their anxiety is going to pull them out of center. Control drama is going to pull them out of center. Okay, all these things can pull you out of center. One way to recognize when you're out of center is when you feel that energy going out. And there are a lot of ways that can happen. Some people, feel drained. Okay, well, if you got drained by something, then you weren't centered. Because if you're centered and hanging out in this area here, you're pulling the energy in through the divine source, and you have all that you need to expend. Now, sure, there's times when you need recuperation. You need to rejuvenate. But the point is, you can feel the energy going out of you. Oftentimes in a control drama, in an argument, when you have fear, you can feel the energy going out. Take, for instance, the moment where you almost get in a car accident and you hit the brakes. Okay, everybody's felt that energy go right out of their head, right? It's no surprise. That's a real physical effect. Some of them are more subtle, but certainly you can feel it. Okay, heartbeat. Obviously, if your heart's beating fast, you're most likely not very centered because you're not in a calm state. Emotional pain and panic. Breathing. Basically, any time that you do not feel calm and at peace. Okay, when you feel that energy go out, okay, and that'll be the easiest time to focus on centering if you haven't really experienced it before. Feel it draw back in. Okay, consciously go and feel that energy pull back in. And if you do that enough times in exercise, you will get used to it. Okay? If you feel, again, you're in a control drama, you're in a control drama, the thing is to pull that energy back in because you know that the energy's out here when you're having a control drama. You know, you got all this stuff you were going to say and all this intent of what you're going to do, and you just got to release it and let that energy come back in. And that's where you're going to break the control drama. Okay? If they don't feel that energy floating around your head and around your aura that they can just sap up, and again, they're going to find that it doesn't work for them. They're not getting out of it what they wanted. Okay, meditation is simply a more focused and higher level of centering. Self-hypnosis. Yeah, meditation is nothing more than a form of self-hypnosis. So moments of peace, in other words, moments of centering, are moments that keep you over here. So the option is, you know, you can meditate once a day for 1 hour a day or something, if that works for you. If you're not used to maintaining a centered state, that's at least something to bring you back from the anxieties of the day. Or, you know, eventually, when you master this side of the chart, you learn that you can stay centered 24 hours a day. Well, guess what? And you think that's more helpful than 1 hour a day? Yeah. And that is the true perfection of a meditative state. You may not be as deep in a meditation, but if you can stay partially in meditative state for 24 hours a day, it's much more powerful on your positive manifestation than if you can only do it 1 hour a day. Okay? So you may not be able to maintain as high a level, but the continuous state is much better. Starting point, visualizing yourself in a peaceful environment, focus to shut out clutter. Okay, for people that haven't meditated before, the ideal situation is to clear your mind and let the information come in that you're supposed to receive. I mean, that's the ideal state of meditation. However, for a lot of people, that's not readily achievable on your first attempt. One of the biggest challenges that people have is that they're trying to eliminate the clutter from the day. Okay, or the clutter from their consciousness, or the clutter from their past traumas and all this stuff that they're carrying around with them all the time. So to settle your mind, if you can't do it immediately, one way is to actually visualize on something, focus on something. And that can be, you want to pick like a peaceful environment. And, you know, the most common, and everybody's probably heard this, you know, visualize a bench, you know, on a walkway. And visualize that you're sitting on that bench, and visualize flowers or a lake or a stream out in front of you. And the more you can visualize, you'll find that it shuts off all that garbage that's running through your mind, and it actually can be very, very peaceful. You're still maybe working more than in a meditation than would be ideal, but still, it's a way of turning off the noise. Okay, and that's one of the biggest reasons that people don't meditate. They say, oh, I can't sit for 5 minutes, I can't turn off the noise. So you can actually just focus on something that's peaceful and maintain the focus. Okay? And eventually you'll find that you'll be able to maintain a peaceful state, and then you can go to the next level, which is to clear the slate, not think of anything, and let information come in, which you can have some pretty divine and inspiring information come in if you are able to do that. Music can be used to help you from falling asleep. Again, a lot of people say, well, meditation, you know, I lay there and I start to doze off. Okay, well, then use some music. Nothing wrong with that. Again, you're learning how to reach a higher level of meditation. You don't have to be there in the first attempt. So, music, again, something that's soothing. A lot of spiritual music out there that's very good for meditation, and they will help you keep from falling asleep and help you keep focused. Music can be loud enough to feel the vibration. I actually have used chakra music, which I've used to help meditate as well as help physical healing, and I play that loud enough so I can actually feel the vibration. It's more powerful that way. Okay, and I can still meditate, but you know, some people might not be able to. Okay, dreams and visions. Dreams usually during your deep sleep, a REM state, which most people know about. Dreams are provided to teach us while we sleep. We talked about that. I told you some of my dreams. So you can take advantage of that. If you have a dream, again, I would say wake up right away. If you can't figure it out while you're in the dream, then wake up, write it down, because it is important. Doesn't mean you'll understand it immediately, but it's important that you recognize it. They show us where we're blocked or stuck and on obstacles to growth, and test your ability to overcome an issue. Well, I told you some of my experiences, and you can see that there are some good tests. And so they showed me where I was blocked. I had fear. a fear to attack. And what I learned from all that is anytime you are defensive, you're attracting attack. Okay? Again, what you put out or what's inside of you, you're attracting. Again, with responsibility with family and children, it's maybe more of a challenge to go to that level. Okay? Because the responsibility, the feeling of needing to defend a family becomes greater the more dependence you have in that respect. I told you about the example of the gentleman who had a sword in his hand and fire behind him and was approached by a very calm, loving person and didn't know what to do. Okay? That's moving towards spirit. He was given an opportunity to let go of the sword and let go of the chaos and move into peace. And he didn't know what that meant in his life, that dream. And he asked me. I mean, I wouldn't have told him if he hadn't asked me. He says, "What do you think this means?" I said, "Well, there it is." And then he came back and said, "Yeah, I dropped the sword and went with the guy." And he said, "It felt so good." I'm like, "Well, yeah, good." Then you pass the test. Visions. Usually during meditation, you can have waking moments or totally awake visions. They're more rare, but you will get visions which are not necessarily dreams with lessons. They may be something of the future, premonitions or insight into something that's coming. Okay, so not all dreams and visions are strictly of lessons. Some of them are to show you what's coming. All right, continuous evaluation of self and experiences to accelerate your growth. We've talked about this. Can you do it any better? Okay. There's no such thing as perfection, but why not try for the best you can? Okay, so self-evaluation. You get done breaking a control drama and you go, "Gee, it worked, but I think I can do it better. I think I can do it more positive." You will have those insights. Be aware of people and events that come into your life. They reveal where your consciousness is stuck and issues that you may not realize are blocking your growth. In other words, we are constantly having experiences to help us grow. So yeah, every person that comes into your life is significant. So at any moment, at any time, somebody comes into your life and you recognize something about that person, you should pay attention. There's something inside of you that attracted that person. Okay, very powerful if you're able to see it. So maybe there's something in that person that you don't like. Maybe there's a character flaw, and maybe you should look at whether you have the same flaw. And flaw by flaw, I mean everything is perfection again. So it's not really a flaw, but it's something that you can improve on to polarize. Okay, only one form of love, unconditional. Everything else is like, acceptance, and tolerance. If you not love somebody unconditionally, there's only one love. Okay, everybody runs around saying, "Oh yeah, I love this person, I love that person," but they don't really understand the meaning. Okay, true love is a total acceptance of their path, of who they are, of what they're here to do, and allowing them to go to where they're supposed to go, which sometimes means letting them go. I mean, say if you love something and it's supposed to come back to you, it will. Well, there you go. So it's total release. No fear. You must love yourself before you can love someone else or even fall in love. There's no question about that, but many people would think that they're in love and they've fallen in love, even though they don't understand the meaning of love. That's all a matter of understanding, correct? So, continuous support, prayer. Continuous support throughout existence. These are the kinds of things that people should be giving thanks for growth, healing, manifestation. I mean, most people that I've seen pray are praying for something. Help this person, give me this, make my life less painful. Ultimately, it doesn't work that way. I mean, the divine, you can say, yeah, I'd like to help somebody, and you can pray for them. But just because you ask for it doesn't mean that you're supposed to get it, because remember, you're trying to grow. The universe knows that. So praying for something doesn't automatically mean that you're going to get it. There's a process. The universe is trying to teach you. So when you pray for something, what you might be asking for is more challenges. Because until you get over the challenges, you can't manifest it. So you got to be careful. Prayer is very powerful. It's always divine assistance comes from many forms. Guides, guardians, angels. You can say Jesus, God, anything that you consider of a divine nature can give you assistance. And the biggest assistance that they want to do is help you grow. Because remember, that's the purpose of being on the physical plane. So, not important who you pray to, but why and how you pray. And again, polarity of prayer and the wisdom in prayer. It's your ability to help someone is based on where you are and your own polarity. And working with the guides during sleep, okay, well, guess what? When you're sleeping and you wake up with an epiphany or an idea or some decision you've made, that is the guides and guardians and angels helping you and preparing you for the day's challenges. Okay? That's part of probably what I would consider how destiny really manifests. They're giving you information in the middle of the night. You get up and act on it, and you don't even know why you're acting on it. Okay? And that's part of the astral lesson, is how to help people on the physical plane. Okay? So yeah, they don't go through the same lessons that we do. Like I said, they're more conscious and energy-related lessons on the astral plane. But they can help us, and that's part of their learning process. Okay, polarity of prayer, concept of giving thanks versus asking for help. We talked about that. Understanding destiny, wisdom, and honor of somebody's path means that, are you really asking for help for somebody who has their own path and their own divine destiny? Is that really helping them grow? Really, supportiveness would be to help them grow personally. Not asking some astral entity to step in and fix their problem for them. True prayer would be to say, help this person reach a higher level of consciousness so that they can get out of their problem. Okay? Help assist that person. Don't just help fix the issue. Don't just take it away. But help the person rise to a higher level themselves. That's what I would call positive prayer, versus asking angels to do something that they know this person can do on their own. Okay? It may not be that they're supposed to do in this lifetime. But everybody goes through the same process of growth throughout eternity. In other words, we all grow to higher levels continuously. So the best prayer is to help somebody help themselves. Asking for specific action, again, is control. It's micromanaging, right? You're trying to change something that is already in place. And change is attempt to control the outcome. All right, and if it's your life, it's maybe a little different than trying to change somebody else's. You have the right, the choice to pray as you wish for yourself, but as for someone else, interfering with their path is another story. There's another quote: "Ask not, and you shall receive." What do you think that means? Isn't it just what I just said, right? You're not supposed to have to ask for it. All you got to do is grow. Okay? We're asking for things that we can do ourselves if we only learn how. Ask not and you shall receive. There's a reason for that statement. When I give thanks and when I pray, I thank the universe. I thank all the higher entities for every lesson I've learned, the wisdom I've gained, the assistance they've provided that I never asked for, but I thank them for it because they are providing assistance at every moment, every time. Opportunity to help others. Opportunity to grow to higher levels for the greatest good of all mankind. Okay, if that isn't service to others, I don't know what is. It's a long day. I pray for my ability to help more people. There's nothing I need because I can manifest it. So if they want me to help other people, then I just say, if you want me to help other people, then thank you for the ability to help other people. Okay, summary. Kind of the stretch here. If you believe in destiny of each individual as well as the planet, if you believe that increasing your own healing and balance is the greatest means of impacting the healing balance of other people, the planet, and the universe, and that person's karma is their own issue and does not have to be yours, then living in the moment means focusing on your own issues in an attempt to increase your balance, healing, and polarity and ability to manifest from that moment forward. And that concludes Workshop 4.
Very nice.
Thank you.